What is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wex Appeal Barbells, Beats, and Buffoonery. I am your host, Wex, and we are here for episode number 9, and I'm super excited. I almost don't even want to talk into an introduction because I just want to get straight to the interview. It is a fantastic, fantastic interview with a good friend of mine, and a super, super nice guy. And it was just fun to sit down, catch up with him, and talk about life and his business and everything that has all the success that he's had. And it was a great interview, but we'll get to that in a moment. Before we begin, though, it is the holiday season. I hope that you had an amazing Thanksgiving. Hope that you didn't eat too much, but I mean, Thanksgiving, that's kind of the moment that you do. You save up for it. You wear the stretchy pants, and you go all in. And I definitely went in. It was a good day of food and feasting and football and family and friends, and it was just a good day. So I hope that you had an amazing Thanksgiving as well. But it is the holiday season as we transition out of Thanksgiving and into Christmas. I'm sure you're starting to tick off all those little gifts for your family and friends and things that you need to put in the stocking. And I've got the perfect place to go. It's called Duke Cannon's. DukeCannon.com, Duke Cannon Supply Company. They are my favorite place to go and get soap, cologne, body wash, basically anything you can think of, they have it. And they've got gift sets, they've got individual soap, all sorts of amazing products. So you definitely go over there, check it out at DukeCannon.com. And even better, they give back to the veterans. I'm all about giving back to veterans and making sure that they're supported and taken care of, and they do that with their products. Love it. So get over to DukeCannon.com today. They are doing a special promotion right now that I know of that is a $50 promo. So if you spend $50 or more, you're not only going to get free shipping, but you also get 2 free bars of soap. One of those being their Fresh Squeezed IPA and the other being their Buffalo Trace. And both of those scents are amazing. I use the Buffalo Trace myself and I love it. Also, on top of that, if you use the code BBWEX8 at checkout, you will save an additional 10% off of your order, or also BBWEX9. That will also be a promo that will be active actually December 3rd, I think. So BBWEX8 or BBWEX9, get yourself 10% off of your order, get free stuff. It's a win-win. Fill up those stockings and have a great holiday. Now, my guest today is probably one of the best. I'm not even going to say one of the. He is listed as the best barbecue chef in all of the state of Florida. If you go to Yelp or, TripAdvisor, 5-star ratings across the board. And he does it out of a food truck. Yes, I said it, out of a food truck, or actually a little trailer. They make some of the best barbecue in the entire state of Florida, and some would rival even in North America. It is Rashad Jones with Big Lee's, Serious About Barbecue, and we go back and we talk about the start of when he got bit by the barbecue bug, all the way to his time on Food Network, and all points in between. We have a great sit-down chat, and I'm super excited to get it to you today. So why waste any more time? We're going to take a short break, talk about another sponsor, and then we'll be right back with Rashad Jones from Big Lee's. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am here with Rashad Jones from Big Lee's, Serious About Barbecue, and we talked about this on the show, it was episode, I think, 2 or 3.
Yep.
And so I was on the carnivore diet, and I came by now I'd come by before,
right.
But, it is like the carnivore's dream to come and do barbecue because it works.
Dreams do come true.
Now, the bad part is you also have things like the Kathy,
Yep.
which are not on the carnivore diet, and I wanted to have and couldn't have, but I'm off the carnivore diet now, so I'll hook that up. But man, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. And how are things going with you? Like how's everything? How's life right now?
Life is really, really good right now. This year is an anomaly of a year, right? For so many reasons. But my wife and I and my team and I, we always talk about it every single day, as far as how fortunate we all feel because, we still have a job, we still have a business. People are still wanting barbecue. People are still contacting us to bring our truck out.
Yep.
and things are well. You know, we haven't had to furlough any staff or let go of anybody for any reasons regarding all the stuff that's going on
If
this
anything,
year.
You've grown.
We have
the big red truck.
Yeah,
so you got the new truck. So.
Yeah, so it's going really good.
Good. Well, so for those of you who don't know, because I mean so the funny thing is, I started this podcast. I think I told you this is going to be episode 9 or 10. I think.
Yep.
I think this is. I'm going to have to go back and look at my records, but I think it's episode 10.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, we've known each other
long time.
I'm thinking
early 20s.
I was in teens, I think. So
how old are you?
I'm 40.
All right, I'm 42. So you're
okay.
probably like 17.
Late. So it's probably like 22, 23 years.
Yeah.
Kind of in that range.
Yeah.
So over half my life.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. I mean, I think when I first met you, you were working at Publix doing the overnight.
Yep. Nighttime stock clerk.
Nighttime stock clerk.
Yep.
And but man, we've known each other for a long time. But for those of you who don't know the story, kind of take us back to Big Lee's in the start. I kind of gave a little bit of a hint on the previous episode about meeting you in a Winn-Dixie parking lot to get some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. But tell kind of how Big Lee started and the whole story.
How you want me to go like where the barbecue bug bit me?
Yeah,
all the way back.
Let's go
all
back
the way old
for
school.
those, because we've got a lot of people who have not experienced, and I've got listeners really everywhere right now. So it's kind of all over the place with the listenership. The analytics actually say even like Australia.
Oh wow!
And Australia, Ireland, Canada,
That's
a
amazing.
couple others. I was like, wow, people are listening everywhere. So for those who have no idea, and what is this barbecue place in Ocala, tell them all about it.
Okay, so my wife is originally from Mississippi. She's from the Mississippi Delta, a town called Greenwood, Mississippi. And most of my family lives here in Florida. Patrice and I, we've been married for 12 going on 13 years now. So we generally will alternate where we spend the holidays. One year we'll spend the holidays here in Florida with my family. The next year we'll go to Mississippi and visit her family. So back in 2011, it was time to travel to Mississippi to visit her family. Her uncle, Leon, a.k.a. Big Lee, Leon Archie, was the big cook in her family. And she said, all right, we're going to go to Uncle Leon's house for Thanksgiving. This year he's cooking a Thanksgiving dinner. We're not going to eat very much of a breakfast, and you'll see why once we get to his house. We got to his house, walked through the front door. First thing I was greeted with was just these amazing aromas, like every amazing aroma that you could imagine coming out of a kitchen, just like bam, as soon as you open the door. The next thing was just the hospitality. As soon as I walked into his house, it was my first time there, but I didn't feel like a stranger. Yeah. And he gave me a tour of all the food. So you've got the turkey, the ham, the mac and cheese, the scratch-made dressing. I mean, everything. Wow. The pies, the green beans, the cake, everything. So he's like, help yourself. It was like a free-for-all. He was like the guy who would cook food, and anybody from the neighborhood could swing by if they're, in a situation where they don't have a family to spend, an occasion like that with. They knew that Uncle Leon's house was that place where they could come in and grab a bite to eat, hang out for a while, connect, and walk away with a styrofoam box of food, almost like a little takeout spot.
Yeah.
So
I wonder where you got that from.
Yeah. So I was blown away because I'd never witnessed that level of hospitality and care for other people through food. So I started digging into the food, and everything was amazing. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. Everyone's had Thanksgiving food. Every year you eat the same thing pretty much. His was just on a completely different level. And about halfway through my meal, he's like, Uncle Leon's like, hey, Rashad, save room. Don't go too crazy because I have barbecue cooking out back.
Oh, this is before the barbecue.
Well, this was. I thought it was just a regular Thanksgiving dinner. Like most people don't fire up a smoker with like ribs and chicken on it. You got a turkey on the table. Yep. So he had the smoker set up in the backyard, and he gave me a tour of his smokers. Showed me the ribs, showed me the chicken, and I dug in. I took my first bites, and just completely mind-blowing experience.
Wow.
You know, I didn't even know still how to put it into words how amazing his food was. But it just left an impression on me. Like any kind of art, you know, if you're watching a movie, you know the movie's fake. These are actors.
Yeah,
this
of course.
not real. But,
Yeah.
you know, there's scenes in every movie that we've all probably been a part of where it touches you emotionally in a certain way where you just start tearing up and you're like, what the heck am I doing crying? You know, this is a movie. It's not even real.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the power of art. It's the power of creativity. It can really touch, you know, the deep part of your heart. And that's what happened to me. I describe it as that me being bit by the barbecue bug that day.
That's awesome.
So Patrice and I, we wrapped up our Mississippi trip.
This is in 2011.
This was in 2011.
Okay.
Yep. Traveled back home. And on that 11-hour ride back home, the only thing I could think of was how amazing Uncle Leon's barbecue was. I didn't really want to think about much else. Didn't really want to talk about much else.
Yeah.
I kind of was sulking because I'm like, man, with each mile marker, I'm realizing I'm that much farther away from some amazing barbecue.
I feel like I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten it when when I'm somewhere else and I can't get,
Yeah.
you know, big leads. Like, look, we'll go other places and I'll go to other restaurants and things like that and they'll have barbecue and, like, it's just not the same. So
Thank you.
I know that feeling. That's...
Yeah, it's not the greatest feeling ever.
No.
Because, you know, like when you really want that thing and you're just putting more distance between you and said thing, it's not a great feeling.
Absolutely.
So Patrice saw that I was kind of like sulking, and she's like, hey, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm just kind of disappointed that I'm not going to be able to get more of that barbecue anytime soon. So,
what were you doing at the time?
Oh, at that time, I was, career-wise, I had resigned from working for the Marion County Health Department a few years earlier, started my own business where I was traveling and doing a ton of motivational speaking, which gave me the free time and liberty in my schedule to explore hobbies like barbecue.
Yeah.
So, and my wife, she has a PhD from UF, and at the time she was basically teaching at Santa Fe College.
Okay.
So, my wife's the smartest person I know. So, you know, I try to take her advice when I feel like it's really great advice. So she said, hey, why don't you just try your hand at it? So I said, you know what? I will. Started cooking in the backyard on our little Weber grill every single weekend. Ruined everything that I put on that grill. Black chicken, tough ribs, you know.
So I'm horrible at that kind of stuff. So like I'll get
Welcome
back
to
there
the
on my
club.
grill and it's awful.
But that's the starting point. It's like with anything, you know.
Yeah.
You start out, you suck at it. And in those moments where you realize, man, I suck right now, it shows you what you're made of. Are you going to just be like a quitter? And because you're not winning, are you going to pout and say, oh, man, I'm not good at this? Or are you going to stick to it, like working out? You know, you're one of the most fit people I know. I mean, you really are. I mean, I watch your videos. I'm like, was that like 500 pounds or 350 pounds he just lifted? Like, that's insane.
Well, thank you.
But I'm sure it wasn't easy like when you first started. But it shows you what you're made of when you're able to, stick to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely rings true. You got to put work into, work into what you're passionate about. And I do love fitness. I do love food too, which is why I'm not like jacked looking.
I love fitness food in my mouth.
Yes, exactly. We actually got my son a shirt and it says I'm into fitness, and on the back it's got a pizza and it's a fitness pizza in my mouth. I was like, absolutely. So
I just started cooking, and every single weekend I discover something new. I'd realize, oh, hey, maybe I should open these little damper vents on my grill instead of letting all the smoke just stay trapped in there where there's no airflow. And my chicken's not black today. Just little things. Just every weekend I'd learn something new. And I'd say the thing that I learned most was the passion. Like the passion started developing, and I realized I really loved cooking with fire. The results weren't amazing, but I enjoyed the process. So over the course of, I'd say, 6 months to a year, the food did start getting better. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where I could have, Patrice and I could have people over for dinner or lunch, backyard barbecue, and people would compliment on the food. They say, oh man, the ribs are really good, the chicken's really good. And a barbecue competition came to town, like not too far away from here, over at the Livestock Pavilion.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, everybody's urging me to compete. Patrice is the number one, person on that list that was really saying, Rashad, you should do it. You should go for it. And I'm already hypercritical of the things that I do. I'm my own toughest critic. I think you should be, especially if you want to get results. If you want to be honest with yourself, you need to need to, have some level of criticism, on your own work. But I did not want anyone judging my food at the time. I didn't think it was worthy of being judged.
Sure.
And she's like, I think you're way overthinking this. This isn't like when you first started cooking on the grill. You should really consider it and give it a shot.
And sometimes it's good to be judged just to get a benchmark.
Absolutely.
As well. So, okay, I may not be at my best, but it'll tell me where I am.
Absolutely.
And, that's kind of the same thing with the fitness. It's like you try certain things, and we actually have workouts that are called benchmark workouts. You may suck at it, but you know where you are, and then exactly, and then you come back and do it 6 months later. Oh, well, I improved my time by 2 minutes.
I got you.
I crushed it. So you have those benchmarks that just kind of tell you where you're at. So yeah, but it's not fun. Like especially walking into one that
and particularly on the front side of it.
Yeah.
Where I had only been feeding family and friends at that point. And if you go and have dinner at a friend's house, your friend cooks, or maybe his wife cooks. If the food's not amazing, you're probably not going to notify them about that.
Sure.
Say, hey, that lasagna is pretty dry, actually kind of nasty.
Or even if it's just good, you'll be like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
And
we kind of expect that from friends and loved ones.
Sure.
So you're 100% right with that competition. So I decided to give it a shot. I packed up all my backyard barbecue equipment into the hatchback of a 2012 Nissan Rogue. Looked like a complete idiot driving out to this competition. No pull behind smoker. Just a Rogue full of random barbecue equipment. And it was funny because as I was pulling in, these other guys had like nice barbecue rigs, really nice big fancy smokers, pull behind trailers, and all this stuff. And I heard laughter as I was driving by. Now, I don't know if that laughter was because of how I looked and my ridiculously looking setup, but there was laughter, and that just reinforced the feelings of, man, I really didn't want to be here. Now it feels like people are laughing at me. So I started unloading my stuff. People are walking by, just kind of looking at me like, are you in the right place? Got everything set up, got all my equipment set up, and just kind of got out of my head for a moment. This thought came into me and said, hey, Rashad, why don't you tell your mind to shut up and just cook? And I said, you know what, it's a good point. Turned my music on, got the smoker fired up, started cooking, got all my meats done in several hours, turned our food in to the judges. And also we handed out samples of our food to folks who had, either orange or red wristband. And the folks we gave samples, they would, in turn tell the tally keeper whose barbecue they liked the best.
Yeah. So
the competition came to an end, and they started announcing the winners. Announced third place. They announced second place. Then they announced first place, and they said Big Lee's Barbecue. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And I literally, I've never froze in my life, and I've never been at a lack of words ever. Yeah. I've always got something to say.
Yeah.
And I heard Big Lee's Barbecue, and I just froze. And I'm standing there, everybody's clapping and cheering, and Patrice is like, Rashad, go get the trophy, and I was just like, this can't really be happening. Like, people liked our food.
Yeah.
And it revolutionized the way I viewed what I was doing in the backyard. And then they announced the People's Choice Award. They announced third place, whatever, barbecue spot. And they announced second place, and they announced first place. And Big Lee's Barbecue again. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. It's the first time where I felt as though I was outside of my body witnessing this situation that was going on. And Patrice has the biggest smile on her face. Caleb was really young at that time. Yeah. Our second oldest, Jordan, I think he was like a few months old. And that was really the catalyst that showed us, hey, this barbecue is serve worthy. Everybody kept asking us all night long, so where's your barbecue spot? Where do you guys sell this? And I'm like, my barbecue spot's in my backyard, and I don't sell it because I'm not licensed.
Yeah.
And they're like, you've got to be kidding me. You're just cooking like this in the backyard? I'm like, yeah, this is what I do in the backyard. So Patrice and I decided we needed to make the next logical step, which was not opening a restaurant for us. It was, finding a food truck, a used food truck, nothing fancy, something.
Now, so from 2011, how far
That competition was 2013. That was a great question.
So 2 years.
Yep. October of 2013. So yeah, almost exactly 2 years. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Huh.
So
and now here we are. You said it was Thanksgiving when you met with them. So we're what 9 years late? Is it 9? Yeah, 9 years later.
9 years later from
when you met.
Exactly, the barbecue bug.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Wow. So we decided we found a food truck, very, very reasonable price. Great couple that we bought it from. They were running their operation out of it. We, kind of took everything apart, put it back together to fit our needs and to be able to make it work for what we do. Opened for business July 12th of 2014. Had no clue really what I was doing because I'd never been in food service before. I just knew how to treat people really well, and I knew how to cook barbecue that I felt people would enjoy. Yeah. And it's exploded from that point. So
well, like I said, like I teased earlier, is like I remember meeting up with you because you didn't have the license at the time and you were just trying to fine tune things. Yep. You're like, if anyone wants to try this barbecue, come try it.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that part. So while it got to the point where you fire up a grill, you've got to put enough meat on there to make it worthy of the time you're going to spend being out there, and it's almost always more meat than what my small family at the time wanted to eat. Sure. And then again, it's a barbecue again, another weekend. So I was tired of eating it. Patrice was tired of eating it, but I never grew tired of cooking it. Yeah. So her and I got the idea of posting, because we had the Big Lee's Facebook page at the time where we would just post pictures and videos of the food just to kind of show my hobby. Yeah. And we named it Big Lee's just to honor Uncle Leon's memory because he passed away in 2012, a year after I had his food for the first time. So I'm like, I've got to keep his memory going. And that's what the little flame on our logo symbolizes, just his hospitality and spirit living on through us. So we'd post the food on Facebook, and one day we got the bright idea. I said, hey, the first 20 people to respond yes to this post.
I think I was on that post.
Yeah, you were on that post. We're like, we will meet you in the grocery store parking lot. Yep. And I'll share a box of this food with you. I think we had bacon braised cabbage, mac and cheese, ribs, and maybe brisket or something. I don't know, something along those lines. Yeah. And like the post lit up, and I was like, holy crap! Like all these people responded. I didn't know people would be that interested. Yeah. So.
Well, and I remember because I think after like one or two times I was like, dude, I've got to pay you something. And you're like, just put a review.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just give me a review. Tell me what you think. If it's good, bad, otherwise.
You got a great memory, man.
Dude, it was that good. Here we are, this many years later, and I mean that's why that's where it started. At least for me. Yeah. And you would say, hey, even if something is off, let me know. Tell me so we can see if there's something we need to change or adjust. And I remember that's when you hooked me on the ribs. Like I was done. Like the ribs literally, and like people are like, oh, they would fall off the bone. No, they literally fell off the bone. Like you just shake it and it would just fall right off. It was so good. Amazing food. And that was at the start. Yeah. And it just keeps getting better.
That's the goal. I mean, like you said, I never took any payment for any of that barbecue back in the day. People would feel like so bad, like I've got to give you something. I'm like, just post a review. Yeah. And the feedback was what we used to really guide us to the point of where we're at now. Yeah. So many people felt, they're like, if I can't pay them with, currency or with actual money, my feedback will be that currency. And it was more valuable than money when you think about it. Yeah. For you to give me your unadulterated, unbiased feedback. I told every person, if it's really, really good, say that in your review. If you try it and you're like, these ribs are gross, they're tough, they're not seasoned well, it has this bitter, weird, smoky taste to it, let me know. Yeah. And you guys were our guinea pigs because we had this business idea in mind. And I feel like a lot of businesses make the mistake of launching their product and their service to customers before they ever have an experimental trial to really see where that product or service stands.
Well, and it's funny. So I've got the different hats and the different things that I do. I'm also, a DJ, and I do weddings and events and parties and all those sorts of things. And I actually just met with a bride the other day, and I said, this party is not about me as your DJ. Like, it's not my show. Right. My job is to custom make what you have in your head of your dream wedding. And a lot of DJs do the same thing where they put out their product, but they don't take into account what the bride and groom or the coordinator or what they want. So I end up being successful as a DJ because I just listen. And
absolutely
listen, what is it that you want? Okay, I can make that happen, and do everything in my power to make that happen. Now, if somebody just has a different taste, I mean, I even told her, I'm like, I don't care what kind of music you want. It's not up to me.
Right.
It's up to what you want, So, yeah, it's so important to listen to the feedback, and then kind of once you're able to translate that back to them, that is just the ultimate, because just like with a bride and groom, when they have a great experience, that makes me happy.
Absolutely.
Which, same with the food. It's like when they have a good experience with the food, the love just comes pouring back.
Because it's art. It's like you figure you paint a picture or you sing a song to an audience, you're trying to impress them. You're not trying to make the crowd upset.
It's not trying to make your ears bleed. I want you to sing along. Let's all do this together.
You want your art or your creativity to connect with the people or the individuals you're there to share it with. So at Big Lee's, like everything you said rings 100% true with how we do business. We use the word empathy a lot around here. We always talk about how will the customer's experience be? How will that brisket go over with the customer? How will that pulled pork go over with the customer? If we're greeting customers this way versus that way, how does that make the customer feel? We view everything we do literally through that perspective of empathy, because if we're not, then it's like what you said. It just becomes a selfish thing. Well, this is what I really want the Big Lee's experience to be like, rather than thinking, well, what does the customer ultimately want? And how do we provide that, and how do we execute on that? So,
well, that's all. So we get to the point where you've got and that's the same trailer. We still got the same trailer out back. Vintage going.
Absolutely.
It's had some upgrades. It's had some remodels and things, but it's still there. So you get to the point where you have the trailer. So you went on the show with Guy.
Oh yeah.
How did life kind of change, or how did it come about?
Okay.
And then secondly, how did life change after that? Because I feel like it kind of exploded a little bit.
Yeah, it really did.
A lot, really.
So before I linked up with Guy with his show, Guy's Big Project, and the Food Network.
And for those of you who don't, Guy Fieri.
Yeah, it's Guy Fieri, just not some guy.
It's
one of the biggest names in the food television.
Absolutely.
We had been in business for about 2.5 years, and at this point, the word had kind of spread through the community about what we were doing. People were saying things like, wow, like I've eaten barbecue literally all over the country, Texas, Kansas City, Memphis, the Carolinas, and hands down, this is better than anything I've ever had. That's not us bragging or saying that.
Of course.
This is what just locals.
I read the reviews. Facebook was pouring with them.
Absolutely. I mean, our Facebook reviews were exploding. Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google reviews, they were all exploding, saying the same things. And I realized how valuable that social media presence was. Not just a cool or sexy food pic or a cool or sexy food video. Meaningful content. Something... I'd repost some of these reviews. People say, I've eaten barbecue, and they name like one of the, places that's one of the biggest named barbecue places or most famous barbecue places in the country. And they draw that comparison and say, hands down, this is better. And I'm like, wait a minute. Patrice, can you read this? Am I reading this correctly? This is 2.5 years into it.
And then once again, you become that guy in a small food truck. It's the same as going into the competition with these huge restaurants.
Never looked at it like that.
And it's still the same, but you're still doing more with what you have, and it's about just owning that gift.
You have a really good way of putting it. I've been doing this for 6.5 years, and I've never looked at the parallel between the two. So I didn't know it, but a lot of these casting companies that work for major networks. Social media is where they're able to really find the character of individuals before they cast them. They're able to really see kind of what they're all about. So these folks have been scouring our Instagram, our Facebook, and I didn't know it.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just posting stuff to keep getting people in the doors.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that a part of that social media audience were individuals that worked for these different casting companies.
Oh, wow.
So they saw the stuff we were putting out, and then our customers saw, several of our customers, like 5 customers in one day, saw the ad that Food Networking guy put out. It was, hey, we're doing a talent search. I've got a new show coming out. We're looking for somebody who can host, who can be the next big food roadshow host.
Sure.
I didn't see the ad. I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I was working the window at our trailer. This was back in early 2017. 5 customers all in a 4-hour window all came up to me while I was working the window, and they said the same thing. Right? Oh my God, Rashad, Guy Fieri's got this new show that's coming out. He's looking for people to submit auditions. You need to submit an audition. I think you'd be great. And we've got a line of people. There's like 20 or 30 people in line.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to kind of juggle the fact that everybody behind that person's kind of looking over their shoulder at me like, you know, hey, come on, I want my brisket. I want that.
Yeah.
I want my food. At the same time, I don't want this person to feel like I'm trying to be short with them, but I'm like, okay, great, I'll check it out. All right, your total's, 43.25 or whatever.
Yeah.
And the next person. And then a few other people down the line, same thing happens.
Huh.
And then I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, and process them and get them their food and move on to the next person. And then it happened 3 more times. The last person, she came up to the window. She kind of slammed her hands down on the counter and emphatically looked at me and said, Rashad, you have to audition. And she said the same thing as everybody else, but she said it with so much emphasis. She said it like somebody's life depended on it or something. I'm like, oh my God, I really need to stop and check this out. She's like, I already sent it to you. I messaged the link to you on Facebook. Pull out your phone, check it out right now. So I'm looking at this link and I'm like, oh, cool. So I sent in they were looking for a 60-second audition. So I had 60 seconds to sell my personality and my ability to host a show. Yeah. And we got a phone call after submitting that video within less than 24 hours.
Wow.
7,000 people auditioned for the show. Only 10 concepts made it onto the show. Wow. So 6,990 others were passed. And I was one of the lucky 10. And then out of that 10, we flew out to LA. And we filmed for 6 weeks. Every week, somebody got cut from the show.
Let's go back to this. I have never been so stressed in my life. like you already knew the outcome, and I'm sure it was stressful for you. Absolutely. But for those who knew you, and and love the food, and we're following along, and have known you as long as I've known you, I'm like, there were moments on that show where me and my wife were just sitting there like.
It's like nail biters, right?
No, you can't go home. Yeah. There was the one episode.
Yeah, I was really close to. It was
close.
Yeah,
it was close.
And this is the part that you guys don't get to see on the other side of the TV screen. So I was away from my family at that point, where I almost got cut for a month straight.
Wow.
And then you figure when you're on the West Coast, we're in Florida. There's a 3-hour time gap.
Yep.
We would get back to our hotels, and I'd have access to my phone because you can't have your phone on a set while there's. Nobody wants to be that guy where the phone goes off while you're filming and everything's going great.
Yep.
So they're like, guys, just leave your phones in the van. You can get them when we take our lunch breaks and then at the end of the day. So we'd get back to the hotel at 10 p.m.
West Coast time.
West Coast time.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So that's 1 o'clock back here.
Yeah.
So there were so many days where I'm like, how do I even get a chance to call Caleb or talk to him or call Patrice or talk to her? She understood, but my 6-year-old at the time, he just knew, well, where's Daddy to say my night prayers? I have to go to bed again, and I tell my boys the most ridiculous, funny stories every night instead of nighttime story like Mary Had a Little Lamb or whatever.
Yeah.
I make up these ridiculously funny stories, and I tell them, you have to go to sleep with a smile on your face. Yeah. So he was missing that, and he didn't really understand. And one of the I think it was the night or two before I bombed that week, and we almost got cut. I was on the phone talking to Caleb, and I said, "Hey, buddy, how's everything going?" He's like, "Oh, not good." And I'm like, "What do you mean, not good?" He goes, "I just really miss you." And I'm like, it felt like someone just stabbed a dagger in my heart. And I was like, well, Daddy will be home pretty soon. And I didn't really know what to say because it's like bittersweet. You want to be there to win the show. You've put 4 weeks in already. There's 2 weeks to go, but these guys are missing me really bad.
Yeah.
Your dad, you get it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
And then he says, "And Daddy," I'm like, "Yes." He said, "And I cried I cried the other night." I'm like, "What do you mean? Why did you cry?" He said, "Well, you weren't here to say my night prayers with me," and I cried, and I'm like, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I couldn't hug him. I couldn't say, there was nothing I could do to fix it because I wasn't there. So I was so in my head during the filming of that particular episode where I think subconsciously when I look back on it, I almost wanted to get cut.
Yeah.
Because I knew I could have made it,
Yeah.
which I ultimately did.
Yep.
But I didn't want to see my guys like feeling the way they were feeling with Daddy being gone.
Yeah.
But I chalked it up to saying, hey, and I had to find the right words on that next phone call I had with him. And I talked to Caleb about sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I said, Daddy's working really hard. It sucks that we're apart, but hopefully if you keep staying strong, Daddy will keep staying strong. You guys keep pulling for me, and maybe I'll be able to win this show.
Yeah.
And that'll be amazing. And so I was able to kind of get him to come over on my side after
Yep.
me going on his side and being sad and that sort of thing. But that was the backstory.
And then of course their editing.
Oh yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah.
their editing was on point.
Yep.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a tear. Like we're just sitting there waiting, and
Dude, absolutely.
And then finally they let you know that you weren't going home, and I was like, oh. Like literally weights just lifting off, and like I said, we weren't even part of it. We're just we're sitting there. I've never I've watched reality shows. You're pulling for somebody, but like to know somebody on the show and pulling for them personally, it's just like it's
those feelings are totally real because
Yeah.
you figure, first of all, for any small eatery or restaurant owner to bump into Guy Fieri is amazing.
Yeah.
To be able to have a conversation with him is amazing. To be able to be on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives is really amazing. To be able to hang out with him for 4 weeks every day at that point, and when the camera's off, he's sharing tricks of the trade and just what can I do? Do you guys need it? Tell me more about your restaurant. How's your wife? That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So now you're sitting on a couch, and there's him, there's that guy,
Yep.
and then Alex Guarnaschelli, and then all these producers, all these other Food Network personalities, and these super bright lights in your face, and Guy brings you all the way out on this cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And you really feel like, man, I put 4 weeks into this, and it's gonna be chalked up to, this is the end of the road for you, pal. Sorry,
Wow.
you should have came with it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I was totally prepared. I had even said it. My producer was asking me. Each one of us was assigned a producer,
Yep.
and my producer, before I went into that room and sat down with them, I was in the hallway talking to him. And Guy, he's like, he's going to be sending you in any moment, and the cameras are rolling. They're going to be rolling. He's like, how are you feeling right now? I said, I have peace. And he said, do you feel like there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be going home tonight? I said, absolutely. I stunk, but up to that point, I brought it. So but I'm like, but I did stink.
There's only two people. It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
If they like what they did versus what I did, that's all it's down to at that point.
So, but I had chalked it up to like, you know what? It is what it is at this point. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But if I get cut, so be it.
Yeah. So we fast forward to the end.
Yeah.
I mean, you ended up. He pulled another cliffhanger.
Yep.
So you weren't the only winner. We had the Grill Dads as well.
Dads,
so, and they announced that one. So on the show, of course, they announced them first.
Yes.
And when they announced that first, again, we're like, oh, no. And then just kind of that thought, at least in the back of our minds, was like, they wouldn't have done that if, there's something here. There's something's going to happen. So he ends up, telling you guys, and of course you had no idea not at all. That point. That was all.
Not at all.
That was all live reaction.
I found out when he told me right there on that Zoom screen share.
So I know the family went nuts. That was
man! Again, it just didn't feel real. I'm like, wait a minute. I have zero television experience.
Yeah.
I cook barbecue on the side of the road out of a trailer in Ocala, Florida.
Yes.
What am I doing here? And not only that, but in the initial contract we had to sign before we started the whole project, The grand prize was spelled out in black and white, all caps and bold letters. The maximum prize was stated to be a 30-minute pilot that would be filmed and submitted to Food Network for them to just review it.
Yeah.
There was no promise or guarantee of anything beyond that. No one ever made a mention that it would ever see the light of day.
Yeah.
So to be able to get a 6-episode series was 6 times more than what I ever thought was going to come out of this. So it was mind blowing. And I don't think it even registered when Guy said, you know, they're not going to give you a pilot. They're going to give you a series. It didn't even register. I just heard I won.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the winner.
Yeah.
You know, but and then it took a while, like after the cameras, he's like, Did you understand what I told you? This part was edited out. He's like, you don't only get the pilot, he said, Rashad, they loved what you did so much that they're willing to just fast track you to a 6-episode series. He's like, that does not happen. Do you understand
awesome.
that this doesn't happen? They get pilots in all the time.
Yeah.
You know, people, hey, check out our show. A 6-episode series. So I was over the top excited.
That's awesome. And no, it's still running on Hulu,
which is crazy.
Right?
It's still on Hulu and it's still on Sling. And I'm like, that was almost 3 years ago where it aired, and it's been going strong. People are still watching it. I still get messages in my inbox from people like, "Oh my God, I love your show." When's season 2 coming out?
If you can't see on the, I am wearing the original
that's
Eat
it
Sleep
right
Barbecue shirt.
Yep.
So the show was Eat Sleep Barbecue.
Sleep Barbecue.
Go check it out on Hulu.
Go check it out on Hulu and Sling.
Yeah, go watch it for sure. So there's 6 episodes out.
Yep.
So how was that whole thing? I mean, because you go from then winning to then going right into producing a show.
Yeah. I literally I had to have a bag packed. They told me to have a bag packed just in case you win. You're going to have to fly out to LA literally right after you finish that Zoom meeting with Guy.
Yeah.
If you win, you will literally have to say, all right, guys, I got to go. Wow. And again, it started over. So we're really happy. And then it was bittersweet because I had my bag already packed.
Yeah.
As soon as that ended, the production crew, they were all set up in my house. They're breaking everything down. And my producer, Jesse, what's up, Jesse, if you're watching this? Jesse Belladoff.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, we got to go. You got a flight. We fly out in 3 hours. How long does it take to get to Orlando from here? I'm like, an hour and a half, 2 hours. We got to go.
Wow.
And it was that fast. Flew back out to LA, had a production meeting. A few days later, came back home. We put the game plan of the show together, all the different stops, the places we wanted to visit, and hit the road again. And I told them, I said, all right, I felt like I had a little bit more pull now that I won. I'm like, all right, this is my show.
Yeah.
I am not going to be on the road for 6 weeks straight. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to schedule this thing out where there are some breaks. I'm a married man with 4 kids. I got to see my family. I'm not going to do the whole 6-week thing again. A month and a half is just way too long to do it over again. And they were like, no, totally understand. We're going to try to schedule you days off after we finish filming at each stop. So it was very, very smooth sailing.
So how did you select? How did the places that you went get selected? So was that something that you researched and were able to choose, or was that ones that they had kind of?
Well, there was a combination. There was there's a slew of barbecue places that I have a ton of respect for all around the country because of what they're doing and how they're doing it. There were like a handful of places where I just had so much admiration for prior to any of this stuff. Just following them on Instagram. And I always said, man, it would be so cool to visit this barbecue spot, or it'd be so cool to meet this person.
It's like, hey, I got the show, and now I can just, I can expense it off and just go check these places, my bucket list of barbecue.
So that's how we did it on my side. You know, like Brian Furman and a couple of those other guys that we visited. Those are my picks. Yeah. And then the last 3, I told the show, I said, well, hey, I don't want to lean 100% into just what I want to do. Mm-hmm. There's a production team for a reason. Let's use that team. Same thing we do here. Yeah. I'm the owner and operator here, but every decision that's made here isn't just because I want to do it. We use that team approach. So I carried that same philosophy over into Eat Sleep Barbecue, and they said, "Here, have you ever heard of this barbecue spot?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, they're the number 1 place in this state." I'm like, "Really?" You never heard of it? I'm like, yeah, well, let's check it out. So
let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how much fun was that? I mean,
oh man,
you look like you were having a blast. I know there's TV and there's editing and things like that,
Yeah.
but your energy comes through.
Thank you.
Whenever, I mean, obviously you've got the motivational speaking background, so people listen, people want to be engaged and talk.
Absolutely.
But what, like, how was that? Like, you could tell you were having fun doing it.
To be honest with you, bro, it felt just like a blessing. Like to get on a plane and to know I'm just flying to a really dope barbecue spot to eat, film it, and share it with everybody who's watching the show.
Yeah,
it was just like, come on, like,
that
is this
job
real?
doesn't suck.
Exactly. Like, I already love what I do just standing by a smoker cooking barbecue.
Yeah.
But then you go share the platform and put the spotlight on somebody that I already admire, and to get to eat their food for the first time on camera with Food Network as the platform, like, it was wild.
And then build a relationship as well, because I've
absolutely.
seen some of them come through.
They come back here.
Come back to your spot.
Yeah.
And of course, anytime you go in, go over
Absolutely.
there, they're gonna, bring
Absolutely.
you in. What is some things I guess you would like to have known? Like, if you could go back and tell yourself, we said like 9 years ago, getting into this whole thing, I'm sure I know you set goals and I know you set expectations, but I have to imagine this exceeded all of those. Like, what are some things that you would have looked back and said, man, had I known we were going to go this, maybe I would have adjusted what I did, or is everything just like, man, it fell into place?
Let me say this guy asked the best questions. That's an amazing question. I only have one regret in life. It's that I didn't play high school football.
Yeah.
But then I kind of dipped back on that one because I could have had some sort of crazy injury from that or whatever.
Sure.
But that's really the only regret I carry through life. The whole idea of looking back, that's an amazing question. Knowing everything that I know now, what would I have done differently? Oh man, I would have learned how to coach a team earlier than I did.
Yeah.
Because I love barbecue. I love cooking barbecue. I love trimming up raw meat. I love the whole process so much. I didn't realize it over the years that I didn't really share a lot of that process because I wanted to just do it. I mean, if anybody's going to be out in the smoker cooking, hey, I'll load those briskets up. They need to be checked at midnight.
Sure.
I'll do it, Fire needs to be stoked at 2 a.m. I'm the guy for the job.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how my love for barbecue kind of got in the way of preparing a team. Because whenever I got selected for the show, everything was fast. They called me within 24 hours and said, we love your audition. We want you to be a part of the show. That was on a Sunday. And they're like, if you accept, you need to fly out on Friday.
Yeah.
So I had 4 days, 4.5, 5 days to prepare the team to basically carry everything on with me being gone. And I literally had to compress everything I knew and communicate it as best I could, so that way our customers wouldn't be like, what's the deal with the brisket today?
What happened this week?
Yeah, and where's Rashad? Nobody noticed.
And you couldn't say where you were.
I couldn't.
Because I remember coming,
where's he at?
when the show was airing, coming back and trying to boost you for some answers.
I couldn't.
Nope. I'm not going to say a word.
But if I knew I was going to have a TV show and I've had the opportunity to travel and be a guest chef at some amazing places up in New York City, and I had to be gone. And I put a lot of pressure on my team. And in some ways, if they weren't the group of people that they are, you could say that I could have failed them by saying, well, dang, Rashad, I mean, you're cooking barbecue that people are traveling from other countries to come eat.
Yeah.
And now you want to put the responsibility of that on us while you're gone for possibly 6 weeks? That can feel a certain way.
Sure.
But we have a group of people. They were super supportive. Everybody was like, what do I need? What do I need to do? Just tell me what I need to do.
Yeah.
I will do it. We will text you pictures and videos.
And going back to your team, even back from the beginning, I mean, they were always
legit,
super friendly. They were awesome. So, I mean, they had the best people. If there was one bit of advice and not giving away trade secrets.
No.
I don't want to give away trade secrets or the secret sauce.
Yeah.
But if there was one advice you would want to give somebody who is starting out in barbecue that is like, I want to start, what's like the number one rule you would say, this is the thing you need to start with?
Gosh, you like ask the best questions. No, seriously. This is what a great podcast is about, right? It's like great conversation.
Yeah.
Like, that's a question I want to hear the answer to from people. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what am I going to say to this? You know, I want to hear the answer. I'd say the best piece, so just singular, just one piece of advice.
Yeah. I mean, if you have more than one,
I'd say
sure.
two. I'd say
things.
two.
Okay.
Definitely, as quickly as you can, learn how to build a team. Because if your barbecue is good, and if your customer service is good, and your hospitality is good, you're going to be successful. Your success can end up being the cause of your failure. You have all these people showing up. Your bandwidth is only so much. You can only handle so much. You can only stretch yourself so far. And if you become really successful and overstretched, and things are not going well now, and they once were going well, that could be the death of your business. So,
we talked about that before the show about other places that tried to do the that tried to do the going from a food truck to a location.
That is hard,
and it's just it's a totally different feel. It's a different vibe, and you're one person in a food truck. Okay, you've got control. But now you got a restaurant full of people, and you've got wait staff and servers and cooks and people that aren't doing what you do. I mean, it's set up for failure.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
and I have so much respect for anybody else that's in the food truck or restaurant business, and that's doing it successfully.
Yeah,
because it is not easy. It's not easy. So the team building, to me, it's critical. Like having a good infrastructure. Having policies and procedures, something as simple as that. Put stuff in writing.
Yep.
When you start growing and you're hiring people, if you need them to season briskets or ribs, you say, "Oh, you just put about that much on there. Your ribs or your brisket's going to taste different tomorrow." Yeah. You need to spell those things out so that way your process is succinct, your process is detailed, and you can predict your outcomes with pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
That's super important. So team building, developing policies and procedures. And the last one I'd say is test your product. You're going to invest a lot. You're going to invest a lot of your energy.
Yeah.
You're going to, not just physical energy, mental energy. Running a successful barbecue business, it's a constant figure it out game. You're constantly trying to figure it out. So it's going to be so important to really take the time and make sure you've got all these ducks in a row. You got to make sure your product's good. Make sure your product is solid. Make sure your food is good. Test it. If you know really, really critical people that are uber opinionated, bring them a plate of your food and say, I want you to give me your honest feedback. You know how most barbecue or most people who cook food would feel in that situation?
Oh, yeah.
Intimidated and afraid. But those are the people you're going to be serving. When you open your barbecue spot, those hypercritical people are going to say, "Oh, let's go check out that new barbecue spot, see what they're all about."
Yeah,
they're eagerly awaiting to post a review about your food.
Absolutely,
good or bad.
Yeah.
So test it. Give some food away.
Yeah.
Give $300 of food away. Portion it out to where you can serve 600 people over the course of X amount of months.
Yeah.
And get feedback and listen.
Yeah.
Don't say, everybody's saying my ribs are tough. My ribs ain't tough. And then open up a spot and sell ribs that everyone said is tough. Because now you're going to have reviews that say the people are really nice, but the ribs are really tough.
Yeah.
And that's going to steer people away. So that advice, I mean, if I would have, knew all the stuff that I knew now, I did the last one, but the other two, policies and procedures and whatever the first one was that I said. I don't even remember.
Build a team.
Build a team.
So what is one common myth about barbecue that you can dispel, that you can that you can bust right now?
A common myth. Where do you get these questions? These are great. These are thought. I'm having, if you can fire off answers to questions really quickly, that's not a thought-provoking question when you think about it, right?
This is like, wait a second. hold on.
Rashad, what are some meats that you cook at Big Lee's? That's not thought provoking.
Oh, wait till we get to the rapid fire.
Oh man, jeez.
Like,
let me get on to this one. A common myth. A common myth. Man, I'm almost stumped. I don't even know. I'd say maybe some of the myths out there, or people might think that it takes a certain amount of time to cook a brisket at a certain temperature.
Yeah.
To me, that's a myth. That's the biggest question I get.
Huh.
You know, I'll post a picture of an incredibly beautiful slice of brisket.
Yeah.
Oh man, what time? How long did you cook that for, and at what temperature? We don't do that. Like, we really don't do that. You could take the thermometers or the temp gauges off of our smokers, and we can still cook the same brisket.
Oh, wow.
We don't have a timer set. All right, that brisket's been on for 6 hours. Pull it off now.
Yeah.
It's not like that. That's probably the biggest myth. And people have been asking those questions ever since we developed a significant social media presence.
Yeah.
There is no magic time, in my opinion, and there is no magic myth. When I first started cooking brisket, I would use the time and temp method. Mm-hmm. And those were the worst of all the briskets, of all the tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of pounds of brisket we've cooked over the years.
And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what really brisket was until I came here.
Yeah,
because I'd had brisket at other places, and I'm like, this is just a slab of meat. Like, this is dry and
crumbly,
awful. I won't name the place.
Thank you.
Just because Sorry, big chain.
You know who you are. No, I'm completely joking.
Try your brisket. It's dry. But I didn't know what brisket was until I came to Big Lee's, and I'm like, this is amazing. You get the nice char on it, and it's just
making me hungry.
It made me hungry. I'm like I got all this barbecue back here. Okay, so So I know you are. You do hip hop.
Oh yeah.
Like, you rap, you freestyle on the show. If you haven't watched the show, check it out because he freestyles on the show.
Yep.
So you get in your car, you got one track that you can play, or one CD. I'll even give you an album, like one track or one album that you throw in, and that's the jam. Like, so what's your number one go-to?
Number one album of all time. Gosh. You asked the best, most thought-provoking questions. There's so many of them. I mean, but the best, my favorite. Oh man,
I don't even know that I can answer this.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like 15 albums where I love all of them.
I'm like, well, what genre are we talking about? Because I like this one, I'm happy. I like this one, I'm mad. I like so I got all these different ones.
I'd say overall best album. Probably would. I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to put it into a genre. Sure. Would have to extend back to when I first got into rapping.
Okay.
And the rappers who inspired me. I was born in the East Coast. I was born in New Jersey, so a lot of the East Coast rappers, I resonate more with their sound and their feel and their style. Wu-Tang was one of those groups back then. They were gritty. I came from a pretty gritty neighborhood, so I could identify with the feel and the sound. And there was one member of the Wu-Tang Clan. His name is Raekwon the Chef.
Yep.
And his album's not something that a lot of people know. It's not one of the most notable hip hop albums. But that album, when it came out, it was during that era where I was like, man, maybe I can rap.
Yeah.
And the sounds, the production quality, the guest appearances on there, the storytelling. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. So that's probably, that's certainly my favorite
the big
album
influence
of all time.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so we're running in that time, so I'm gonna let you go. But I've got an either or.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you rapid fire either or, and we're gonna just try and just give me like that first gut response.
Okay.
Okay. Burger or taco?
Taco.
Brisket or ribs?
Brisket.
Call or text?
Text.
And they go random. So theme park or beach?
Beach.
Okay. When you write notes and you're like,
what did I say?
I don't even know what that means. Oh, toilet paper, over or under?
No, definitely over.
Okay, thank you. I have it written down as like TP, over under. I'm like, is that like betting? Like sports bets? Like what? Then I remember TP. Oh, yeah, toilet paper. Football or basketball?
Oh, definitely football.
Okay, pancakes or waffles?
Ooh, waffles. Belgian waffles.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. City or country?
Now that I'm older, country.
Okay. Dine-in or delivery?
Delivery.
Okay. Movie or book?
For me, book.
Book. Okay. Ninja or pirate?
Definitely ninja.
And I think I already know the answer to this one. Tupac or Biggie?
Oh, Biggie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. For some reason I switched coasts.
Definitely
I was like, Biggie. Okay. So how, the $1 million question, since social media was such a big influence, how can people connect with you?
Please connect with us at My Big Lee's BBQ on all platforms.
We're right here.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look. You've been looking at it all day.
Poster for
it's right here for you.
My Big Lee's BBQ on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not super big on Twitter because bandwidth, right?
Yeah,
I only do so much.
I don't like Twitter.
Yeah.
I go on Twitter to follow certain people just because I know they're big on Twitter, and that's the only thing I have Twitter for.
I do the same thing.
I'm trying to do a little bit with the podcast, like, I'll put a link up and things like that, because if somebody picks it up, great, fantastic. But man, Rashad, it's been awesome.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for your time, and man, thank you for the barbecue. Like, I mean, it's been amazing for what we said 9 years is when you met.
Yep.
So 7 years you've had
almost 6.5.
So 6.5 you've had the trailer, and now so you're not just the trailer anymore.
Well, we've got food trucks.
3 food trucks now.
Just got a new one. We got a new food truck in a few weeks back, right around a month ago. So
So you get the red, the black, and the blue.
Yep.
Are the three. So
and thank you too, by the way. The podcast is awesome. If you're one of my followers on social media, definitely check out the podcast. Check out all the different episodes that are on there. It's really great content, and I think you're doing an awesome job, man.
And listen, when I was doing the carnivore diet, I was pushing people this way. I was like, go do carnivore and eat barbecue, but don't, you got to stay away from certain things just because it's the carnivore diet. But once you're off, go nuts. Definitely. So, okay. So I do have another question. So if somebody is in the area, it's their first time, what is the go-to order that they need to pick up?
Oh, man, that's a great question again. Definitely burn-ins.
Okay.
Burn-ins are the best part of an entire brisket.
That's actually what I had when I was on the carnivore. I went and got a big plate of burn-ins.
Yeah, they're good.
So
they're tender. They're juicy. It's a cut of meat that's marbled really well with good quality fat. Seasoned well. It's smoky. It's going to melt in your mouth. So you want burn-ins. Mm-hmm. You want to get some sort of a side. If we have the Kathy, that's our brisket stuffed mac and cheese.
You have to get the Kathy.
Yep, you have
to. You have to.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to tell you there's going to be somebody that's really angry about this podcast.
Uh-oh.
And you know him.
Uh-oh.
Tony Lipari.
Yep, I do know Tony.
He's watching. I know he's watching.
I met Tony in New York City,
in New York,
right?
Yes.
And he comes down to visit, and then he grabs barbecue from Big Lee's when
So
he's
I
visiting.
met him here.
Yep.
We became best friends.
What's up, Tony?
What's up, Tony? He's been on the show, and he was like, "I'm gonna hate this episode because I'm gonna sit there in New York because he lives up in New York in the city, and he's like, I've got to get back down there and get some Big Lee's. And every time he comes down, whether it's a holiday, whatever the reason he's here, he always makes it a point to come to Big Lee's. That's like his." Visit family, eat Big Lee's. Those are the two. It's
not a bad combination.
It's not a bad combination, but I know he's upset right now because he's listened to this whole podcast and he's like, "Oh, I want food." So I'm gonna have to come back and visit. Christmas, it's coming. So, but yeah, man, I don't even know where I was going with that one when I was talking about that. But I mean, you have the 3 trucks, and still have the trailer, and. Big things coming, I know.
Oh yeah.
You've already teased about it on the social media, so stay tuned on social media. Check them out. Some awesome things. So I couldn't be happier.
Thank you.
Number one, because you're a friend of mine, and like I said, we were right there along with you, during the show and on Pins and Needles. But you're just a great guy.
Thank you, man.
Just gonna put it out there. If anybody's been listening to this podcast this far, you could sit and listen to you for hours. You talked about doing a podcast. If you do get the chance to do it, I'm I'm there. I'm listening.
Dude,
So
awesome.
doing a barbecue podcast. Get it, man. But like you said, keep priorities and time with the family and all those things important. So
Absolutely.
But, man, thank you so much for being
No
on the
problem.
show.
Thank you.
And make sure you check it out on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me at Wex Appeal Podcast. Go to My Big Lee's Barbecue or My Big Lee's BBQ on Instagram, Facebook. Follow along on social media. And man, that's today's show.
Peace.
All right. I hope that you enjoyed that interview as much as I did actually being there. It was a great time for me personally. I had a lot of fun. I went back and actually listened to the podcast the other day right before I was doing editing and things like that on. I wanted to just listen to it, and I actually forgot that I was listening to my own podcast, which made me excited because I was roped right back into the conversation and listened to it and got more out of it every single time I listened to it. So it was awesome. It was fun. If you're ever in Florida and even in the Southeast, make it a point to get down here to Central Florida, Ocala, and check out Big Lee's Serious About Barbecue. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that. It is by far the most amazing barbecue I've ever eaten in my entire life. And TripAdvisor and Yelp agrees. They've got thousands and thousands of reviews, and it is literally worldwide. People come from all over to check them out. So worth your time. Get over here, check it out. Big Lee's Serious About Barbecue. And you can follow along with them on Instagram and Facebook at My Big Lee's BBQ. And check out everything that's happening. Rashad is super awesome about doing posts and telling you what's going on and all the specials and the new things and the new stuff that they're trying. And they've got some big news coming soon, and I'm not going to tell you about it, but I did get to see it. And super excited for him and everything that they are doing. It's going to be awesome. Before we close, one thing that we did talk about in the podcast that I wanted to throw out there to you, if you are listening to this from somewhere other than Florida, and you may not know who I am to save your life. And if you don't know who I am, awesome. Shoot me a message. I want to get to know some people that are out in the world out there. We've gotten listeners from everywhere from Australia to Canada, the Philippines, Ireland, the UK, listeners all over the place. And I want to hear from you. So if you're listening to this podcast and you don't actually know me personally, shoot me a direct message on Instagram, Wex Appeal Podcast on Instagram. I would love to hear from you and just kind of see where you're from and all those things. It's super cool to me to see this kind of stretching out all over the place. Been a blast doing this podcast. Before we close, of course, it is the holidays. I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving, first of all. And also, get over to DukeCannon.com. Lots of great stocking stuffers. You can go and just check out the website. I could go into all the products, but you're going to get in there and you're going to find that they're amazing. Just all the different packages and promotions that they have. Right now, if you spend $50, you're going to get 2 free big-ass bar of soaps, which is their freshly squeezed IPA and their Buffalo Trace bourbon, which is both soaps are amazing. I love them. I use the Buffalo Trace myself. Great soap. You don't smell like alcohol. And I had somebody say, if they had issues with alcohol and things like that, you don't smell like you're drinking whiskey. It's got that nice oak barrel flavor. So it's really, really a nice smell. I love it. My wife loves it. And if my wife loves it, I'm happy. I'm a happy man if she's happy. That's going to do it for today for this show. On the Duke Cannon website, make sure you use the promo code BBWEX8 or BBWEX9 to get yourself 10% off. Definitely want to use that. That's going to do it for today's show. I want to thank you guys for checking this out. Got some big interviews coming up again next week and the following week. Man, we're setting them up all throughout the rest of this year and into next year as well. Super excited about the direction of where this podcast is going, and it would not be possible without your support. So please, if you would, share the YouTube page, share the podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, all the major podcast carriers. You can find it there. Thank you guys so much. You have a fantastic rest of your Thanksgiving weekend if we're still in that Black Friday holiday and Cyber Monday. And hopefully we're going to have some merchandise here for you soon as well, so that you can give the gift of Wex Appeal to all your loved ones. Or you can just rock it yourself and wear the shirts and all that sort of stuff. So you guys have a great day, a great rest of the week, and we will see you next week. Peace.